Serious, what is the creepiest or most unexplained thing that's happened to you that you still think about to this day? A few years ago, I was at my lowest point in life. Several people close to me had passed away unexpectedly. I was being bullied every day at my job. My life was falling apart. I was past being depressed. I just couldn't imagine waking up another day. So I'd planned my suicide, bought a one-way plane ticket, got sleeping pills, and wrote a series of suicide notes. On the day I was to fly out to fulfill my plan, there was a terrible accident on the freeway to the airport. It was shut down both ways. So I drove into a nearby pub to have a beer and wait out the traffic. The second I sat on the patio with my drink, a gentleman asked if he could sit with me. Whatever, I thought, sure, who cares? He told me that whatever I was doing next was a terrible idea and I would regret it. I thought, who is this random fucker? But I listened. He said that he sensed I was in pain, but that I had an incredible life ahead of me, and that this was not the way my story was supposed to end. Again, I'd never met this guy in my life and hadn't mentioned a word to him about my plan. He asked me to hand him my keys and my wallet, and he'd give them back to me after I talked and he listened. I poured my heart out to this random guy, told him all my traumas and pains in life, and why I was heading to the airport on a one-way ticket to kill myself in a cemetery across the country where my family was buried. He just listened. And then he pulled out a lighter, asked me to pull out my suicide letters, and help me burn them. He told me I was worth so much to the world, and that after I finished my drink, I needed to head home and get some sleep. He told me I was going to be okay tomorrow, and I believed him. He then gave me my keys and wallet back. I left that afternoon and went home, hugged my family, got some sleep, and the next day, I started working on myself, finding a therapist, a new job. Years later, I'm in a fantastic place in life, so far from where I was that day. To this day, no one in my life knows how close I came to killing myself, but this random stranger just somehow understood me and saved my life. I never saw him again. I don't even know his name. It's the most unexplained thing that has ever happened to me, and I think about that guy every day. So, thank you, kind stranger, for saving my life that random September day on a pub patio. To this day, there was a kid in my class that no one else remembers. I distinctly remember playing with this kid in kindergarten, and we were pretty much inseparable. About a month past Christmas break he disappeared. No one remembered him. Not the teachers or the others in my class. No one. I even asked the school counselor if he was okay, and she humored me by going through records to see if he'd transferred. She couldn't find a thing. I think about it at least once a month. When I was 13, I moved into my brother's bedroom, as it is an extension to the original house with an ensuite and is far larger than my old room. Originally it was a tiny box room with the entrance to the attic, but was extended outwards. The attic entrance is always open, with a permanent set of metal ladders angled up into it. There's a picture of it here. The grey arch is where the original room ended. Within a few weeks of moving and I'd wake up in the middle of the night to see a figure staring down me with a white head like a skull and formless black body. It would slowly move down to the foot of my bed and stare me until I moved, at which point it would sink into the floor. Just sleep paralysis, right? And I'd begged to move into the room and had just got it set up, so I wasn't going to leave. I didn't really talk about it to anyone. It gradually became less frequent over time. 8 years after this, my brother mentioned at a get together that he used to have a sleep paralysis demon when he lived in that room, a half joking, half freaked out way to other people when the topic of them came up. He described the exact same f-king thing. Neither of us mentioned it to anybody else at the time it was happening, so we have no explanation for us both experiencing the same thing. I'm currently back from uni myself due to corona with that dark void in the ceiling in the corner of my room. Was delivering newspapers on my paper route when a longtime customer pulled his car next to me and asked me to just give him his daily newspaper now because he was going on a long trip. I handed him his newspaper, then skipped his house as I continued my route. The next day I was collecting the weekly fees. You used to have to go collect the money back then. No internet payment yet, and I went to his house to collect my fee. His wife answers and promptly complains that I missed her house on my deliveries a day before. I explained to her that her husband pulled up next to me. I told her what he said and that I gave him the paper. She started crying, told me that he had died a couple weeks ago and it was obviously not possible, that I spoke with her husband the day before. I know what I saw, and nearly 30 years later I still think about that situation. I have no way to logically explain what happened and it still gives me the creeps. I don't think I have ever talked about this to anyone cause it still hurts to think about it, but yeah, I really wanted to share this here. Also, this is quite a long one. I had this neighbor who was around 30 and he was such a sweet guy, let's say his name was Adam. I felt like he was the kind of older brother I've always wished for. He was an all-rounder, gym freak, good at singing and playing every possible instrument, dance, sports, cooking, etc. He used to take me and my younger brother to the beach wherever possible. So this incident took place 3 days before my 14th birthday. I was on my way to school in the morning when this absurd scene flashed in front of my eyes. It was him getting into an accident and dying. It felt surreal. I almost wanted to cry, but then I told myself maybe it's because I had watched a movie with a character dying the previous night. I continued with the day and it was almost 8 PM when my parents got a call from someone. I could see their face change expressions. Once the call ended, they said they needed to go somewhere and would be back in a while. I wasn't sure what was happening, but I felt that something wasn't right. Next morning I woke up to the worst news of my life. Adam was no more. Apparently he met with a major accident the previous night and died on the spot. I didn't know how to react because a few hours before he died, I did have a bad feeling. For days I couldn't even sleep and I blamed myself because I felt like maybe I could have warned him about it and maybe he would still gonna be alive. It's been almost 7 years since this incident took place, but every time I think about it, my heart aches and I still wished he was alive. I still can't figure out why I had that sort of a feeling hours before it actually happened, and it scares me.